up there and I'll tell you who's there.
Do I need to do that again? Huh? Do it again?
Yep.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our committee meeting to order. Paul, we have you on?
Paul, Kristen, and
Yes, I'm here.
Paul, Kristen. Okay, John
Yes, I'm here.
and Kristen.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
Nope, that's all should be on there. Mr. Belchick was going to join us, but I don't see him on there.
Okay, Darren?
Yep. Okay, if you want to take a look at your agenda, we'll start going right down through. And again, you can either look online in your portal or there's hard copies if you're here in front of us. So going right down to program presentations, just wanted to point out to you a couple things. First, we are going to conduct our parent-teacher conferences. That can either be done by phone or a Zoom for any parent that wants to meet with a teacher instead of coming in person. That's on the afternoon and evening of November 24th. High school parents can arrange with high school teachers from 12:30 to 5, and elementary teachers 1:30 to 5:40. So those will take place a little different. Again, we have placed out contacting the elementary office or the guidance office at the high school if any parent wants to have a meeting with a teacher. So those individuals will arrange and schedule those with the teachers. Any questions on parent-teacher conferences? So next is on the agenda is the Veterans Program. We had a lot of discussion and debate because as you recall, every year we've had a luncheon, also had a full assembly in the auditorium. But this year we certainly didn't want to go without recognizing our veterans. So Mr. Rode, Mr. D. Fulton are spearheading for us again this year. To make a tribute to the veterans. They are recording video that we'll be able to show to our student body. We'll also be able to release that to the public to acknowledge our veterans. We're also still going to provide a meal. So veterans, if you're, or anyone that's listening this evening, if you know of a veteran that will be in our vicinity on November 10th at 12:15 to 12:30, they can certainly call into our district office, use the call into the school number and extension 4951 and let us know and come by, pick up a boxed meal that we'll provide right into the vehicle. At the same time, as we will have students helping to distribute those meals to veterans as they pull around in the high school circle, we're also going to have the marching band at the high school in the circle playing songs during that 15-minute time frame. So again, we didn't want to go without recognizing our veterans. We do realize that it's certainly not the program that we've put on in the past, but we still want to make sure that those individuals are recognized. Any questions on that one? Okay, moving down, I just want to update you again on COVID cases, and you can see the handout that's either online or in front of you in hard copy, just keeping track. So I just want to point out for those that you are listening, because I do, I'm not the social media person, but I do get feedback from other administrators that has said on Facebook that secrets are kept. And I'm certainly wanting to tell you that anytime that anybody wants to know anything, please call to the district office and ask for me. I am certainly not keeping secrets from anyone. So let me go back words so that I can clearly tell everyone any case that has happened in the district. Please understand, if we don't have cases, there's nothing for me to report. But here were our cases that's happened in our district. Back in July of 29th, we did have one employee that was tested positive for COVID. On September 16th, we had another employee that tested positive. On September 17th, we had another student, or we had our first student test positive. And then we had another student just this past week, November 2nd, that tested positive. Those are the only positive cases that we have had in our school community here at Penns Manor from last March to the present. Again, a total of 4. So please understand, as parents or anyone that's listening, we do keep track of the cases. We work hand in hand with the Department of Health and the administrators, and I have to take time to applaud all the parents in our community because they're doing exactly what we would ask them to do. And what I mean by that, if you're listening, is that we have parents calling ahead of time to let us know that they have children who might be on a contact tracing list ahead of the Department of Health even contacting us. So hats off to all the parents. I would ask you to continue to do that. That if you have your son or daughter that attends our school and they have been around someone that's positive, please call in ahead of time, call into us as administration. We will certainly work with the Department of Health. We'll communicate to you the quarantine time and also the point in time which they can return in person to school. During that time, again, because we have set ourselves up educational-wise the way that we have, students can transition to Google Classroom to keep up with all their classwork. So any student that has been quarantined throughout this school year has been shifted to Google Classroom. And then when they're off quarantine, they come back in person to us. So again, those are the numbers you can see by zip code and cases. And so those of you that are out there listening, so since last March, when all of this started taking place, and again, when I tell you these are cases of anyone living within our school district. So it may not even be, well, it isn't students. All these numbers that I'm going to read off to you are not cases that has taken place within our building. What I'm telling you is I even watch the community numbers, and here's what we have in our zip codes so far since March to date this morning. In Howard, there has been 6 confirmed case in that zip code since March to today. In Alberta, there has been no confirmed cases at that zip code from March to the present. In Strongstown, positive cases that has been reported are 6 from March to the present day. In the Penn Run zip code, 17 COVID cases have been reported from March to the present. In the Clymer zip code, 26 positive cases from March till now. Again, that's a total of 55 positive cases living within our school district. And again, that's everyone of every age that has been tested positive. And again, I keep track of that every morning so that we have a count and a good gauge of what's taking place. With all that said, I do want to point out that you will see in the media probably tomorrow that today is the largest number of cases that's taken place in Indiana County in one day. Today, we've had 69 positive cases reported in Indiana County. A large number of those cases have been attributed to personal care homes and nursing homes, also along with the prison here in our county. So again, we have to be cognizant of those numbers, of course, because that tells you that when people are in close proximity and maybe even the age of the individuals, what happens. So I have to stress and continue for parents to continue to communicate with us as administrators so that if your son or daughter is in contact with somebody that is positive, that we do locate them in quarantine away from the school building so that we don't have any type of spread that we have been talking about or has seen across the county today. So again, hats off to everyone that works here, to every student. Again, everyone's coming and doing what we ask them to do. They're wearing their face covering and doing, again, everything we're asking them to do. And we want to continue to do that. I just want to point out and remind everyone that's listening, our plan is to carry on with in-person instruction. And if we get to a situation where we have a large number of cases within our school community, certainly we would take a look at doing something differently that we're doing. However, we will continue in the process of in-person instruction along with the constant communication that parents are having with administration right now. It is a blessing that every time someone has a suspicion, they're calling us. Please do not think that you're bothering us. We would rather you contact and call us and communicate so we can communicate with the Department of Health. Again, I think that's what has kept us in the position that we're in here today. So just wanted to update you on all those. Any questions from board members or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go down through the rest of the agenda and also handouts in your packet. There's nothing under negotiations for this evening, nothing under curriculum for this evening. Also, if you go down to budget and finance, we have 2 items that are listed there, both applications for tax abatement from Mr. Ray and from Mr. Packer. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that since it's under budget and finance.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
I was just looking, the present assessment on my property is not right. I'll have the right number for you next week.
Yeah.
That was like a year-old number.
That's important, but you know what happens? That
I
application
figured.
gets sent to the assessor's office and they update it anyways.
All right.
Okay. Any questions, comments under the 2 under budget and finance? Okay, moving along. Under buildings and grounds, we do have 1 item and it's a quote. And if you would take a look at that, I'd like to explain what that quote is for. That quote is from Builders Hardware to complete work. The total cost is on the second page of $6,281.50. So if you go back to the front and if you look right across from order name, there are 3 doors, metal doors and frames that's needing replaced. First, all 3 of these are located in the basement area. So the first one is at our records room. It's the room where we keep all the records clear back from the beginning of anybody's permanent record. So that's 1 door and door frame. The next is also in the basement. As you go down to the bottom of the steps and take a turn to the left, the electrical room entry. And then the third one is if you were actually outside the building, down by the fitness center at the corner of the high school, and you go down the steps that are at the corner of the high school, go down to the bottom of those steps, it would be that metal door and frame as you would enter into that from the outside in. So a total of 3. So you can see the list of supplies that are there. And then also that includes taking out the old frames and doors and putting in the new. Anything you want to add, Mr. Dalton? Okay. Questions, comments? Yeah, they're the metal.
Actually, the doors have been replaced since they've been installed with the frames now, and there's so much rust behind the frames, they're pushing it on the doors, and the doors need split shut.
Other questions? And to pay for that would come out of the regular maintenance budget. Other questions, comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to athletics. Only 1 motion for next week under athletics, and that's just 1 approval of a volunteer, Autumn Fennell, for girls basketball, and that's the only request we've had for winter sports. Questions, comments? Okay, moving to transportation. We do have a list of drivers for the school year that has come through, and we're asking for your approval of those that are listed there. Questions or comments on those? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue down through the agenda. Public relations, we have nothing listed under public relations for this month. Going to policy, the first one that's listed there, that is the brand new policy from complete brand new policy regarding telework. Last month was the first reading. This month we would approve it. So you've seen that one last month. Next, go to letter B, and you can also see the attachments for every single one of those. Honestly, no major revisions. So if you take a look online or on the first sheet, you'll see a summary. of what all those policies, 113.1, 0.2, 0.4, and then 122, 123, and 123.2. And there's a summary sheet for that. Related to the 113 policies, just minor revisions were made throughout those policies to enter into policy positive behavior support plan. Each school district is moving forward with developing a positive behavior support plan. So now, therefore, it's going and being placed into policy. Next, just want to point out in 113.2 is a more clear explanation of least restrictive environment. So again, just to remind everyone that what that means for a special education student, that you always want to make sure that you put that student in an educational program that is the closest you can get to regular education. So every time you sit down and have an IEP meeting, that is what should be the goal of that entire committee that's developing that IEP. And then also pointed out in that is some language in regards to physical restraints. And it's pointing out that if that is to need to take place, it needs to be in that student's IEP, of course, with parent consent. Also taking a look, policy 113.1 includes language directing staff to share copies of students' special education and disciplinary records should law enforcement need that for any situation that would take place here at the school. That policy allows that to happen for those to be shared. At the same time, we have to make sure that we abide by FERPA when we're exchanging those records to law enforcement. And then also just a small revision to 113.4 to ensure that the records of access for special education records should include a record of parties that it's being given to, so that when we do offer those records out, that we would keep a record of those who are seeking the records of that special education student. And then under the 122 and 123, that all has to do with the sudden cardiac arrest. So that's information that we need to share, that coaches even have to go through training to be coaches. And to say same token, those policies are indicating the language and explanation that we need to give to students. So we will need to make sure that our future paperwork that goes out with physicals has information in it related to an echocardiogram and also the sudden cardiac arrest information. Question on those policy revisions? Questions at all? Okay, moving right along. Under correspondence, I just want to point out to you that we had an individual that has been paying us or donating money towards lunch accounts, and the whole way through the process of sending us checks, the individual kept saying to us, well, no, I really don't want to do that. Well, I mean, now it's getting to the point that so much has come in. The last time I spoke with her, I said, can I please at least share that with the board that you're doing this? And then she agreed. So it's Terry Curtis Murdoch of Clymer, and she has been donating money. So let me go back to lunch accounts or cafeteria accounts. So you recall that everything's free this year. I mean, unless someone's getting extra items of that sort. But we had balances pulled over from the previous year. So with those donations, actually, we're down to about only $100 or so left on all those accounts. So you should just know as a board, you're sitting here that typically, honestly, school districts carry some debts and student lunch accounts. But I'm happy to report that we're down to about $100 that's sitting still waiting to be paid. And to be quite honest, if she's listening even this evening, it wouldn't surprise me if she even sends the check to pay that off. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that as a board that took place. I also want to and I have up here two thank yous. One's from Mrs. Pillala, the other one's from Miss Hoover. And again, thanking for the card and gift card that administration and board presented last month. So just thank you. So if you want to look at those, they're certainly up here at the end of the meeting. Questions on any of those? Okay, moving along to new business. We'll have a motion to hire custodial maintenance. We'll talk about that in executive session. We'll also have a motion to hire a cafeteria monitor. We'll talk about that individual in executive session also. And then we have one person to approve to be added to the sub list, Ms. Ondeco, that's listed there. Letter D, you do have in your hard copy packet or online resignation of Mrs. Henderson as musical director. And as it takes a little bit of time to process that, and I'm just asking what your thoughts are. Do you have a problem if I would go ahead as we get and approach getting people in place? Do you have a problem if I post and advertise for that starting tomorrow, even though you wouldn't accept it to next Thursday? If you would not like me to do that, I'll wait till after the board meeting. It just gives us a week head start if you would allow me to go ahead and post and advertise. So comments, questions about that? Okay. Next, approve annual payment to Alpha program. That also is either online or in your packet. So we get that each year. Just trying to get to mine. 1 second. Total amount is $2,853.72. So you may ask, well, what is that for? So when someone goes to the Alpha program, they are receiving their education plus they're receiving counseling. So the educational piece is paid for, just so that you're aware. The education at Alpha is run by the Indiana School District. So they actually will bill us the educational portion from the school district. And it ends up, of course, just like any other outside placement that we get a bill for the educational portion. This actual stipend that they're requesting then pays for the counseling piece. And you may be saying, well, how can they offer a counseling piece for basically $2,800, times that by 7? So I asked that question of the guidance center when I called them. And so they obtain other county funds. They also obtain grants. So they try to cover most of it. And then whatever's left, they take and they divide amongst the 7 school districts that send to the guidance center. So our total amount then is $2,853.72 that we would pay for the year. Questions, comments? Okay, moving right along. Okay, next, just asking for approval to approve for Mr. Kazemchek to be approved as an after-school tutoring instructor. Next, we have, and we'll talk about student situation in executive session, but we'll have a motion to approve outside placement for a student. Next, we'll have a motion next week, permission to dispose of obsolete technology items, so that we have some monitors here in the district that have just exhausted their lifetime. So we want to dispose of those. In order to do that, we have to have a motion. We just can't dispose. You have everything that has been purchased and as a physical item here. You have control of that. So we have to get your permission to dispose of it. Is there anything you want to add to that, Mr. Gramling? Anything?
No, just they're antiquated monitors, so we no longer need.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Next, just asking your permission for us to have a motion next week to allow administration to ask for information from multiple photography companies for the next school year. In the past, we as administrators have been looking at who we've had in the past. We've come to you in the past also, and we've looked at 1 or 2. We're just running into things that we want to just open up and get requests from different photographers and let them propose to us what they will bring us, and then suggest who would be the photographer next school year. So we really haven't done an official posting to ask for that information. We've just basically called, got quotes. As administrative group, we would sit and look and talk to those individuals, but we actually just want to do a complete full request at this point. Any questions or comments on that? And then, of course, we'll bring all that information to you once we get it. Next, I just had this added actually today because if you recall, we did accept the resignation of our National Honor Society advisor. We had no one when we got to the deadline of advertising and posting, but I said to Mrs. Dolges, I said, please go recruit. So we will have a motion, and there's a letter in your packet from Mrs. Stewart, who would like to be the National Honor Society advisor. Any questions, comments? Okay. And the rest of the items are actually an executive session to talk about the items up above that I said we would talk about in executive session. So that's all I have, Mr. Packer, unless somebody has anything to discuss in open session.
Does anybody have anything? Okay, Dave, can you get us set up that we only have board members on?